You're ready to digitize your plant floor, but where do you start? My name is Bill Ridge from Epicor Connected Process Control. Let me show you how this application can help you take those next steps. So to demonstrate walking an operator through digital work instructions within our system, I'm going to walk through some steps on how to create a small robotic arm within the Connected Process Control application. So the first step is going to be taking this base and attaching the feet to the base. So now that we have those feet assembled, we're then going to flip this part over and we're going to scan this QR code. The reason behind that is we want the traceability to know what base of this robot went into what robot arm. So if there's any quality issues down the line or months later, we can come back and see exactly which parts went into our application. We're going to now flip this part over, and the next step in our work instructions is to take this measurement using the calipers. So we're going to take these calipers and we're going to measure this bearing gap. When I get that measurement, I can now plug it into our system and use our touch screen to then move on to the next step. From there, we're going to now connect our servo assembly to the base of our part. You may notice we've got a GIF running on a repetitious loop in our system. These are becoming very popular in manufacturing nowadays because we can show operators exactly what they're going to be working on their workstation. So instead of looking at a PDF describing what they're going to do, they can watch a quick GIF and see exactly how to complete that process. The next step in this robot assembly is to now tighten the screws from that base servo to that servo mount. Anytime throughout the process, when our operators need a little bit more information, we have several tabs at the top of our work instructions for them to view. For example, if they need to go into a diagram and see how a blueprint of a part is created, it's a one-touch button where they can jump into this picture and then go right back to the work instructions and continue what they were doing. Now that we've finished torquing our parts, we can now trigger that next work instruction. We can do that a few different ways. We can use a touchscreen where the operator is going to click OK. They can use a standard computer mouse and toggle over the OK button and click that. They can use a button set on their table to click and move on to the next instructions. Maybe a foot pedal triggering that next instruction. A couple of different ways that we can allow them to move on to that next step, depending on your application. The next task that I'm going to walk through is called a decision task. Now, we say we like to take decisions out of the operator's hands, but at the end of the day, we know we're going to need their eyes and their brains to help guide us through the assembly process. So for this example, we're going to ask the operators to test fit this claw onto this servo mount. If it fits properly, they're going to go ahead and click OK and continue on to their steps. But let's say, for example, it doesn't fit. Maybe these are a little too bent, right? We can then ask the operator to reject this part out. They're going to assign a specific reject code for this issue and hit save. From there, we dynamically kick on a new step that wasn't originally in the sequence, showing the operator how to fix this process. Once the operator makes this repair, they can go ahead and click OK and continue on with their process. Once they've completed this action, they're going to go ahead and click OK. The last part of that process is to capture a photograph of the final assembly. These are super important in manufacturing nowadays because we have a memorialized image of what our final product is going to look like so that we can come back to it at any point if there's any issues or defects down the line. Once they've taken that photograph, they're going to go ahead and click OK and finish off that process, and now they're ready to move on to the next part. Hopefully you can see how digitizing your plant floor helps with process standardization, training, and capturing data. For more information or a full demonstration, contact us.